and this is my final video for my Yucatan trip. This is Chichen Itza and my return trip back. Eduardo and I got up and we got an Uber and we headed to the Tren Maya. This is the Estacion. I thought the designs were really cool. That's the Yucatan in the Mayan language. Here's the map where we're going to go from Merida all the way over to Chichen Itza. The seats in the train, again, brand new. I think it's less than a year old. We left the station and we were so happy with the station attendants. She waved bye to us. I really liked that. And it was going to be, I think, about a 2-hour trip. We decided to play dominoes. We both really love playing dominoes. We honestly, after all these years playing dominoes together, about half. We arrived. This is the Mayan language on the window. I did not know what each one of these symbols were for, or what they say, the letters, or how you pronounce them. We got to Chichen Itza and we saw the guard at first. There always seem to be these guards. This was a building, one of the first we came across in Chichen Itza after we made it by all the vendors. I was fascinated by the carving, and Cha, the water god, appeared on that one. We made our way toward El Castillo, which is the major temple, the one that has the snake on the spring solstice on it. And then we made our way further into Chichen Itza. Everywhere we went, everywhere were these vendors. I understand why the vendors have been there historically. This is a platform that we came across. This is another one of the Mayan carvings that showed the split tongue and the blood sacrifice from the split tongue from the leaders. Again, the tongue coming out of the snake's mouth. This was one of the first celestial observatories ever built by humans. I thought that was really cool to learn that. Eduardo and I sitting down taking a quick rest. Eduardo buying something from one of the vendors. Almost free! Almost free! I thought that was hilarious. I love that. This is the ball court. The ball court was really interesting. This is the largest Mesoamerican ball court in the world, I believe. So we wanted to go and look at this. This is the end of the line, and these were the, I'm guessing the umpires would stay up there. The little round circle you see there, that was the goal, and they would have to get it through their hips, their shoulders. This is fascinating. These is a carving of all the elaborate costumes that the ball players, the 7 on one team, 7 on the other team, would wear. And this is clearly the winning side of the ball team. And the reason we know it's the winning side is as we get through this, you'll see this obsidian dagger in the champion's hand. In his other hand, you'll see the head of the losing captain. You'll see blood coming out of his neck. Then on the other side, you'll see the body, and you'll see the blood shooting out of the neck of the severed head. Again, this is that split tongue and the skull. And the skull was because, they lost their heads. The snake carving ran all the way down. I thought that was interesting. Again, they used their natural world to make carvings just like we would do in Europe at the same time. This was the skull rack platform. It was covered with posts with skulls put on them. Unlike at Uxmal, these are actual human sacrifices. And if you look closely, those are all skull. The only thing carved into that platform is skulls. I found that really shocking that around that monument to death were salespeople just calling and trying to get people to buy stuff. Once we went through that entire area around the edge of it in the backside, you had these colonnades. This was for pilgrims. Now at this point, we had spent 6 hours, I think, or 4 hours there. We were tired, so we decided to sit down and play a domino game. We also had a little bit of time to kill before we had to go back and catch our van back to the train station. And Eduardo and I sat there and played. And unsurprisingly, I won. Yay! I liked it. Eduardo did it. Again, this was an entire colonnade of a market, so to speak, for all the pilgrims who had come to Chichen Itza during its heyday. We finished, we made it back to the van, and we decided it was time to head back. We got back to the Estacion Chichen Itza. I think this was such a pretty new building. These are the two twins in Mayan mythology that sort of created humanity. I thought that was cool. The beautiful sunset over the train tracks. We got back to Merida,
And then we went out for dinner, and this was the area that we were walking through, and it was my birthday dinner we were going to. And when we got to the birthday dinner, I had a panchuo, and a tamale and a banana leaf. Eduardo had the same thing, effectively. I think he had something else also. This was the lady who was making the tamales. I sat there. I loved watching her do this. I thought she was just fascinating, and she would just make them all by hand. I always thought that they had press. They would press them. I don't know why, but of course they were originally made by hand. But I never thought about it. And to sit here and watch her do that while she wore the beautiful embroidered Mayan or Yucatan dress, that was nice. She saw me and she smiled. Then the next day we were off to a lake whose name right now escapes me. And the purpose of going onto this lake, it was a very shallow lake, more like a lagoon, was to see, you can see them in the distance here, was flamingos. Hundreds upon hundreds of flamingos. Sometimes it's even thousands. But we took a tour, went out on the lake to see the flamingos. Celestun, I remember the name. These are the flamingos. I took my zoom camera. I got a new zoom lens for my camera. But the boat shook so much that when I got really close-up shots, it would jigger and jump on the video, and it just didn't turn out. But I did get that good video there. There's Eduardo, again, being tired of me taking videos. Here we are speeding across, and you can see the flamingos. We went into the mangrove forest that was on the side of the lake. I love mangrove forests. I just love how twisting they are together. And you can see that there's no land there. We eventually got onto a boardwalk trail so we can get out of the saltwatery lake and into basically a spring. And the spring was clear. It was beautiful. The water ran through almost a canal down to the lake, and you could see all the fish in the spring area and in the little flowing area. There was also a crocodilio on the bank. We got back into our boat, and then we headed through the lake. There was a crane. All these birds were everywhere. Back to the harbor. Where our tour was coming to an end for this portion. And before we left, we went and looked at the raccoons that was around the harbor area. This was when I got on a good video. Then we went and had lunch on the beach at Celestun. And I had coconut-covered shrimp, which were fantastic. Eventually, we make it back to Merida. It was our last night, and we went out. We had a really nice walk around the city centro area of the Ciudad Centro city center, and then we came across a demonstration of a Mesoamerican ball game. Of course, me being a terrible cameraman, I only get the end of it. But you can see from the carvings earlier that the costumes were much more elaborate than the ones that they were demonstrating. And then the next day, we get up and we're heading out, and Merida is coming to an end for us. So we go and we get to the airport. We had some stickers we'd acquired, and so we applied them at the airport. In the last episode, we talked about I can't pronounce that. I'll let you look at it and figure out how to pronounce it. And we applied the stickers to his luggage. Mine went to my bag to apply to my truck when I get back. We were on the plane. We arrive in Guadalajara. And we decided to go to Tlaquepaque on the one day I had in Guadalajara. These are statues, signs, occasionally real people. I think surprised Eduardo. We went into a church, beautiful church there in Tlaquepaque, one of my favorite places. If you ever go to Guadalajara, go to Tlaquepaque. It's a pretty cool place. And I love this Santa Claus-ish statue with the kids playing all over the gigantic. There's two ladies at the bottom. You can see have the picture taken. I love that statue. Again, Tlaquepaque, an incredible village on the edge of Guadalajara. It's been consumed by the entire city. Then we went for a walk in the city center, and this is absolutely amazing. These are not people performing for anybody. They are performing for themselves. This apparently was the end of the season for the traditional folk dancers who are members of all these clubs. Think ballerina clubs or bowling clubs in the U.S., but these are all dancing clubs in Guadalajara or Jalisco area. And they had all come out to the city center for this one great big celebration at the end. It was put on by the tourist department for the state of Jalisco, but these are not for tourists. This was a celebration of their culture. I liked Eduardo's t-shirt. I'm glad I put that in there. And so I just started taking pictures, and here's their video, and I'll just let you watch the video of these beautiful people dancing in these beautiful outfits, these beautiful dances. I have to say something here. This is the Mexican hat dance, and there's a point where the hat goes on the ground. I absolutely love knowing that this was real and not a cheap imitation. I took a lot of faces because I was amazed at the age range amongst everybody, from the youngest to the oldest. And the hats are on the ground. They did announce that this was 1,300 dancers. What I could not convey with my camera was that these dancers stretched 3 square blocks through the city of Guadalajara Center. It was amazing to see their culture on display. The beautiful faces, the beautiful dresses, the happy people. It was an evening and an afternoon that will stick with me for the rest of my life, and to some extent, more so than even seeing Chichen Itza, which was on my bucket list. To see these people enjoying their culture, enjoying themselves, posing in natural poses, proud, it was wonderful to be part of that. Thank you for watching.